To table talk. Anyways, welcome. My dog is aggressively licking in the background, but that's okay. Today we're gonna be talking about all sorts of stuff. I feel like a table is a great place for a table talk. Um, I feel like it creates a different feeling. You know what I mean? Like a table is a presence of excellence and smartness, and a good place for delving further. So, um, I guess today I'm just gonna talk about kind of whatever I want. I don't know how I'm gonna work this out, but I'm just gonna go for it. I think obviously a big piece is what I learned today from my little church today. And we were talking a lot about like both sharing in faith, and but also just creating relationships with people because those have to come in hand. Because obviously some people are going to not want to accept Christ. Some people do. Um, but I guess kind of the focus is like how do we just interact with people in general? Because that's the big focus point in any situation. Even if you're not necessarily a Christian, like it's still important to be able to like, and if you are a Christian especially, like being able to talk to people is important, and also being able to create relationships with people is important, and invest yourself. So that's kind of something that I'd like to improve on. Just as like a personal note, is because I suck at investing in people. Like when I was little, I was terrified. Like I didn't go trick or treating because I was scared of knocking on people's doors. I've always been scared to talk to people. Like I would always in class, I was always the last person to get picked for partners because I was terrified of asking other people to be partners. To the point where I was like with teachers being like, "Hey, I want to just do this project alone because asking somebody else to be my partner seems like stressful." Um, And so that's always been an issue. And like asking other people to hang out. Like I think some people develop those skills early. Like some people are just naturally really good at like creating plans with people and going out themselves and like being able to do that and being invested in people. And that's a great thing. I think that's amazing that people can do that. I know for me that it's taken me a lot longer, like 10, 15, 20 years longer than it should have to get to that point. But I'm getting there. It's improving. I am sometimes willing to ask people to spend time together. And that, I'm calling that a win. Because some people, they got that skill and they don't have any issue and they're not scared at all. But me, I'm like, "Ooh," it's terrifying. It's terrifying because investing in people is scary. And also, I'm always been scared of like rejection. Um, but I guess a big piece. No, let's circle back because I am kind of a rambler a lot of the time, and my brain likes to go 30 miles an hour, and I'm like, I don't know where I'm going. Was talking about, and it was like the preacher was talking. He was like a guest preacher. He was like, "Here's an idea," and it was just like, "Whoa, that's crazy." Um, and he was talking about like you're taking news with you everywhere you go, right? Because news is just what the heck is going on, what the heck the truth is, what things are happening, what is the situation that we all, as human beings on this big circle in the sky, where the heck, what the heck is going on? Um, and he said, what is the news? Everybody takes news with them each step of their lives. Each step of your lives, you're sharing some news, whether it's good or bad. You know what I mean? Like when you come home from work, is the news that you're going to be sharing with your roommates or your parents or your kids or just talking to yourself like, wow, my news for the day is that it sucked. Or is your news like, wow, I made like a new friend today? You know what I mean? Where it's like, that's crazy when you start thinking about the fact that like everywhere you go, you're bringing some kind of news. You're bringing some kind of thought. You're bringing some kind of ideas. You're bringing some kind of thought process, some kind of information to whatever situation you're in. And if you're going to share that, then you got to know that you're sharing that. You got to know that you're sharing either good or bad stuff. And so you got to be aware of the news that you're sharing. So like in terms of the gospel, like every step of the way you're carrying the news with you by your actions, by the way you're talking. So and you got the news in your head. So is it first off, is it the right information? So is your interpretation of the gospel the right information? If you're like a grown Christian, if you're not somebody who spent their whole life in church or not somebody who's super deep in the faith. Maybe you're like, the news I got is just that all of a sudden I'm doing something completely different, and I feel like God is working. I feel like maybe this whole Christian thing, that's kind of cool. Well, or you're like, wow, dang, I feel like things are starting to change, or maybe my mindset's been wrong all the time. Or are you like, news in my mind you know, is that God's bad? I know for a lot of my life, I feel like to myself and with the people in church, I was definitely like a little hypocrite. Because I be a liar. Um, it's very unfortunate, but I'm trying to grow out of that. But it's true. It's like I feel like the news I was given about who a Christian was like that we're just these grumpy, sad people. And now, I mean, granted, I was very hangry most of my life. Uh, I was real depressed and I was really hangry. Because when I started eating more, I was like, wow, I'm like kind of a nice person. I can like talk to people on a regular basis when I'm not starving. That's crazy. But yeah, that was the news I was given. So I'm like, no wonder people thought I was awful. Like, I was probably giving like Christians a bad name, and that sucks because that's not who God is. That's just who I am because I'm being whack. Because I'm being whack, and that's why I've always been really scared to share the gospel. Cause for that reason, being like, if I'm showing, and I'm talking about being a Christian, but I'm like a whack job, and I'm doing all sorts of weird whack things, and I'm hurting people and being selfish and being rude. Like clearly, I'm not doing a good job of the news I'm bringing is that Christians are bad, and that is 100% deserved. If that's how I'm acting, if I'm acting like a whack job, who's all I'm doing is being a hater who's hungry, get me a Snickers and I'll be feeling better. But that's such an important thing is sharing. You're bringing news everywhere, and and not just in terms of the gospel. Because the gospel, I mean, sharing that it's important to be like, here's the information that I'm sharing, and that's an opportunity. And you ain't like, I think a big thing that a lot of times me as somebody who's grown up in church a lot, I think that it becomes this like obsession a little bit. They're like, if you're not sharing the gospel or people aren't converting, you're a bad Christian, you're a bad person, you're hurting people. And it's like, and another thing, when you're a young Christian or you feel like you're only going to church for the first time, it's like I feel like a lot of people feel like they have to make a decision. It's like I gotta be committed to Christ. I gotta be baptized. I gotta be doing all the Christian. I gotta give up everything right now. And it's like it is a time. It's an experience over time. Like you're not gonna be perfect today. You're not gonna be perfect tomorrow. You're not gonna be perfect 20 years from now. You're not gonna be perfect until you dead, honey. And wait, that's a crazy thought. That's an intense thought. Do I want to go into that right now? The idea of like, well, you ain't perfect until you're actually dead in Christ. Well, you're dead in Christ. You're made perfect. Anyways, you won't be perfect till you're in heaven. That's what I'm saying. Till then, we're all just whack jobs. Isn't that crazy? That is crazy. I should keep that as a mental note. You won't be perfect until you're dead. Or made perfect in the image of God, but all this life is like a little testing process. It's all the like mixing. It's the pre-work. It's the pre-workout. You know what I mean? Before like you get swole. And by get swole, I mean you become like the person that God has created you to be. And then you get to be with God. Because that's crazy. You're like, I got to be with the one who made everything, who been before time. Like it makes your brain explode when I think about like, if I try to think of all God is, I'm like, a lot of times I just picture like this giant hand. kind of like oh my gosh, all I can think of is not Crazy Hand. But it's the hand thing in Smash Bros. When it's the like space hand, but I'm imagining it instead of like white gloves, it's just like stars. You know what I mean? And it's just like stars over like the kingdom. Can you picture that? I don't know if you can picture that, but like it's all like everything, and there's these giant space hands that are like, hello. Sometimes I picture God like that. Sometimes I picture God as like just this like wispy little aurora borealis. Of like sometimes a white light, sometimes a colored light. Sometimes I think God can do any of that. But yeah, that's what's on my mind. I think it's just important to know that you're taking news about different stuff everywhere you go, whether it's positive or negative. You're taking how was your day? You know, are you being positive with your kids? Are you being positive with your coworkers, with your roommates? You know, you're bringing them news of either I can be grateful for what I have and the experiences, and even if they're frustrated, you know, you can bring frustrating stuff, but make sure that it's a learning thing and looking at it like a mature person, which I don't like being mature, but I feel like I gotta be more mature, and taking steps forward. And that's my little talk for the day. I don't know if that made any sense, and I feel like I rambled, but that's what I'm gonna go with. I feel like that's all right. Yeah, thank you. I don't know if you saw this, then thank you because I'm sure that was hard to follow. Also, probably helps your English learning skills because you're like, I got to jump around. So you're welcome for this lesson on brain function. Maybe a psychology lesson. I don't know, but thank you. Have a good day.